What if the greatest threat of the AI revolution isn't that machines will take over the world, but that we will voluntarily choose to stop acting like humans? 135 years ago, the Industrial Revolution uprooted families and treated workers like cogs in a machine. Today, we are facing a transformation of the exact same magnitude, except this time, the revolution isn't mechanical, it's digital, and it's trying to optimize, digitize, and automate your soul. The Vatican just dropped a historic roadmap for remaining profoundly human in an artificial world. Today, we're going to dive into what it says and why this might be one of the most important encyclicals since Rerum Novarum.
Okay, I had to laugh at myself for a second because I am such a Catholic nerd. When I tell you I was stalking the Vatican website, waiting with bated breath for this encyclical to drop like it was a papal mixtape, bro, I really mean that. And the moment Pope Leo XIV's first encyclical, Magnifica Humanitas, finally dropped, my heart was, honestly, it was pounding. I mean, there were moments where I literally had to stop, put the document down, and just sit there in awe, just trying to take it all in. You see, this year, as a first-year fellow with the Leonine Forum, I've been deeply studying Catholic social teaching and some of the Church's most quintessential documents, Rerum Novarum, Quadragesimo Anno, Centesimus Annus, and Gaudium et Spes. And as I was reading this new encyclical, all of that groundwork started it just started clicking together immediately. You can feel it from the very beginning.
135 years ago, my venerable predecessor, Leo XIII, observed the situation of factory workers, their families uprooted, and new forms of poverty generated by rapid industrial transformation. He understood that the Church could not remain distant. Within an epochal turning point menacing human dignity, the encyclical Rerum Novarum spoke its evangelical and social word about new things underway. Today, we find ourselves facing a transformation of similar magnitude, with perhaps even greater consequences.
Pope Leo XIV swings right out of the gate referencing these historic social teaching documents. And you start to realize right away that this is not just the Pope commenting on AI. This is Pope Leo XIV consciously stepping into the Leonine tradition and carrying it forward into an entirely new age. One of the most breathtaking lines in the opening of this document sets the tone for the entire text. Humanity, created by God in all its grandeur, is today facing a pivotal choice, either to construct a new Tower of Babel or to build the city in which God and humanity dwell together. Introduction, paragraph 2. That line alone tells you that this is not fundamentally a technology document. This is a human document about the human person. It asks the defining question of our age. What does it mean to remain human in a world that is increasingly trying to optimize, digitize, automize, manipulate, and transcend humanity itself? The Roadmap, a multi-part series. Now, because this document is so rich, deep, and just historically massive, we cannot just rush through this in one single video. If we did, we'd completely miss the weight of what the Pope is trying to tell us. So we're gonna go ahead and do a deep dive, a multi-part series to hash this out properly. The entire encyclical is broken down into an introduction and 5 distinct chapters. So here's how we're gonna break it down on the channel. Part 1, which is today's video, we're laying the essential groundwork by covering the introduction, chapter 1 and chapter 2. We're setting the historical and theological foundation before we even look at an algorithm. And part 2, we'll dive entirely into chapter 3, which tackles the massive issue of technocracy and the digital distortion of human reality. In part 3, we'll focus strictly on chapter 4 to break down automation, the future of human labor, and artificial intelligence. Part 4, we're going to go ahead and close out the series with chapter 5 and the conclusion, looking at transhumanism, the spiritual battle for human freedom, and the Pope's final charge to the world. That's why this series is going to be different from most of what you're seeing online. A lot of people are approaching this from the angle of politics or AI fear, church controversy, or just giving surface level summaries. But what Pope Leo is doing is much deeper. He's asking whether the systems being built around us are helping us become more human or less. He asks directly whether these technologies truly help individuals and peoples to become more humane and fraternal. Introduction, paragraph 3. And that right there is the whole conversation. The question isn't whether AI is impressive, useful, or even dangerous. The question is this making us more human, or is it slowly deforming our understanding of what the human person even is? This is crucial because we're living through one of the biggest anthropological shifts in all of human history. Modern culture has started treating the human person less like a soul made in the image of God and more like a machine to upgrade. That should concern every human being. So in this first part of our series, we aren't even jumping fully into the AI conversation yet because Pope Leo himself doesn't do that. Before he ever tackles algorithms and transhumanism, he lays a theological and anthropological foundation. And we're going to unfold this document the same exact way that the Pope does. We're going to talk about Catholic social teaching and define principles like subsidiarity, solidarity, the common good, the dignity of work, social justice, and the universal destination of goods. But more importantly, we're going to expand what those things mean in the digital age. And these are not just abstract academic ideas. This is about your family, your work, your attention, your children, and your dignity. Pope Leo makes it clear that this conversation does not belong only to theologians or academics. It belongs to the laity. We are the ones living in this world, navigating this technology, and trying to remain fully human in a world tempted to become artificial. So buckle up, Buttercup. This is going to be a deep dive into what may end up becoming one of the most important conversations the church has had in this generation. Why this encyclical matters historically. Chapter 1. Pope Leo tells us directly what he is doing. While Pope Leo XIII spoke in his time of new things, today we cannot limit ourselves simply to repeating his insightful teachings. Instead, we must ask God for the wisdom to interpret the great trends of our time, particularly technological advances. Chapter 1, paragraph 5. The truth does not change, but every generation has the responsibility to apply those truths to the challenges of its own age. And that's exactly what Pope Leo XIII did in Rerum Novarum back in 1891. Written during the Industrial Revolution, that document stepped directly into a chaotic era of industrialization, economic upheaval, and the massive exploitation of workers. The church didn't retreat. She asked, what is happening to human dignity when people are treated like machines instead of persons made in the image of God? Now, Pope Leo XIV is doing the exact same thing for our age, except today, the revolution isn't industrial, it's digital. It's artificial intelligence, algorithms, automation, surveillance, and transhumanism. Once again, the church is stepping into massive civilizational change without panicking, rooting the conversation in human dignity. Now, the Pope makes this continuity explicit, writing, in this first chapter, I intend to present synthetically how the social doctrine of the church has taken shape in the recent papal magisterium and the Second Vatican Council in order to demonstrate its dynamic character. Chapter 1, paragraph 6. Catholic social teaching is alive, moving through history and responding to the signs of the times without abandoning the truth. The church cannot remain frozen in time. Every age produces new challenges to human dignity. The Industrial Revolution challenged human labor. Totalitarianism challenged freedom. Consumerism challenged identity. And now, Digital culture is challenging what it even means to remain fully human. This is not the church trying to catch up with the world. It is the church doing what she has always done, applying eternal truth to the greatest questions of the present age. Why Catholic social teaching matters right now. Chapter 1. Before we go any further, let's clearly define what Catholic social teaching actually is. It isn't some side category of the faith. It is the church taking the gospel seriously in the real world. It asks, what do human dignity, justice, authentic freedom, and the family actually look like in society? And Pope Leo notes that social doctrine is not just a handbook of political opinions or economic theories. And he writes, the church's social doctrine can be seen more authentically. It's not a handbook of principles and norms to be applied, but a process of shared discernment, born from the encounter between the eternal truth of the gospel and the questions of history. Chapter 1, paragraph 8. The church brings eternal truth into a living dialogue with real struggles of humanity. And that's exactly why this encyclical just matters so much right now. The Pope writes, artificial intelligence should not be considered as merely yet another theme to be studied or a crisis to be managed, but rather as a development that challenges the categories of social doctrine from within. Chapter 1, paragraph 10. This technological revolution is forcing us to go deeper into our understanding of the human person. Catholic social teaching doesn't fit neatly into modern political categories. The church is not interested in political parties or baptizing secular ideologies. She's concerned with the human person, the dignity of the unborn, the worker, the poor, the family, and truth itself. These principles do not disappear just because society becomes digital. If anything, they become more important because technology amplifies whatever anthropology is underneath it. If society forgets that man is made in the image of God and reduces people to data, productivity, or utility, then technology becomes a massive tool for dehumanization. And this brings us to one of the most powerful lines in this document. In the era of artificial intelligence, when human dignity is threatened by new forms of dehumanization, ours is the pressing duty to remain profoundly human. Chapter 1, paragraph 12. Remain profoundly human. Modern culture constantly pressures us to become less human, less relational, less patient, and less contemplative. Everything is driven by optimization and efficiency. If we aren't careful, we start treating ourselves like machines to optimize rather than souls to sanctify. That's why Pope Leo grounds this in discernment, not panic. The church is not anti-technology. She's simply asking whether these tools serve authentic human flourishing or slowly reshape us into something colder and more isolated. These questions are no longer theoretical. They are shaping how we live right now, forcing us to confront the deepest question of all. What does it actually mean to be human? The human person, image of the triune God. Chapter 2. Now, moving into chapter 2, Pope Leo takes the conversation to its deepest level. The core question underneath this entire encyclical is theological. The Pope writes, the church's social doctrine brings us to the very heart of our faith, the mystery of the living God revealed in Jesus Christ, who as a communion of persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, is love itself in relationship. Chapter 2, paragraph 16. Human dignity is grounded in the very nature of God, who is communion. Because we are made in his image, we are created for communion, relationship, and self-giving love. We were created by love, for love, and to give love. Pope Leo reinforces this writing. Human persons are called to communion with God and can fully discover their true selves only in sincere self-giving. Chapter 2, paragraph 17. This cuts directly against modern culture, which tells us to find ourselves through self-obsession and constant performance. The technocratic mindset measures human worth through productivity, efficiency, and usefulness. But Pope Leo states beautifully, The value of persons, however, does not depend on what they achieve or produce. Chapter 2, paragraph 19. If human worth is tied to productivity, the vulnerable immediately lose value. The elderly, the disabled, the unborn, the sick. Christianity rejects this entirely because dignity is an unearned gift bestowed by God. As the Pope notes, human dignity does not depend on a person's abilities, wealth, or position in life. It is a gift that precedes and transcends each person. Chapter 2, paragraph 21. Your dignity existed before you ever achieved a single thing. This is why the AI conversation is so much bigger than technology. Once people are reduced to data points and algorithms, dehumanization becomes inevitable. To counter this, Pope Leo points us to Jesus Christ, writing that in him, the mystery of humanity truly becomes clear. Chapter 2, paragraph 23. This echoes Gaudium et Spes. Christ reveals man to himself. To understand what it means to be fully human, we don't look to machines or optimization. We look to Christ, where we see love, mercy, sacrifice, and relationship. Modern culture treats weakness, dependency, and suffering as problems to eradicate, but Christianity understands that our vulnerability is not a defect, and our dependence upon God is not a flaw. Once society forgets what a human being truly is, everything else begins to collapse. Building a society ordered toward the common good. Chapter 2. If human beings are truly made in the image of God, what should society actually look like? Catholic social teaching is about the structures we build together, our economies, political systems, and digital infrastructure. The systems we create must reflect human dignity rather than exploit it. Now here, Pope Leo unfolds the foundational principles of the common good: solidarity, subsidiarity, social justice, and the universal destination of goods. Let's look at the common good, which means creating the conditions for communities to flourish humanly, spiritually, and morally. The Pope writes, building a city founded on the common good implies first and foremost building a firm relationship with God. Chapter 2, paragraph 25. Modern society tries to build civilization while cutting God out of the picture. But when we lose our relationship with God, we lose our understanding of the human person. The Pope warns that we often place our hope in unlimited upgrades and immediate technological solutions that actually deepen inequality instead of healing us. We look around us. We are more technologically connected than ever, yet loneliness, anxiety, and isolation are exploding. Despite all of our advances, people are still discarded and left behind. That is not authentic human flourishing. This is why Pope Leo applies these ancient principles directly to the digital age. For example, he expands the concept of property. Traditionally, the church defended private property as a tenet of human freedom, but the Pope now asks us to look at new forms of property: algorithms, data, digital platforms, and technological infrastructure. Who controls these things and who is excluded or exploited by them? These are deeply moral questions when a handful of private corporations shapes how billions of people think, communicate, and perceive reality. This is where subsidiarity becomes incredibly important. Now, subsidiarity means decisions should be handled at the local level, closest to the people directly affected. Family and local communities must not be stripped of their authority by massive centralized systems. The Pope notes, this is the logic of subsidiarity, which values the cooperation between generations, peoples, disciplines, and cultures as the best way for fostering stability, prosperity, and peace. Chapter 2, paragraph 28. We also need solidarity, which means recognizing that we are responsible for one another because we belong to one human family. Technology has the power to either strengthen communion or fracture it. It can serve truth or manipulate it. The Pope explicitly states, thirdly, Building a world in which everyone can flourish requires shared responsibility and courage. Chapter 2, paragraph 30. Technology cannot save the human person. Only truth, communion, and God can do that. The future of civilization cannot simply be handed over to machines or markets without moral discernment. The examination of conscience of the digital age, chapter 2. At this point, the encyclical becomes deeply personal. Pope Leo forces us to confront a hard question. What kind of people are we becoming inside of this technological age? Now, this section reads like an examination of conscience for modern humanity. The Pope warns against the spirit of technocracy, a worldview where efficiency outruns wisdom, control replaces communion, and optimization replaces love. In a technocratic system, human beings end up adapting themselves to the machine instead of technology serving the human person. And you can see this everywhere. People are losing the ability to sit in silence, to contemplate, to think deeply, and to be interiorly alone with God. Our attention is becoming fragmented by constant scrolling and dopamine hits, which fragments our interior life. Everything becomes reactionary and performative. The Pope warns that human dignity is threatened by new forms of dehumanization. Chapter 1, paragraph 12. Dehumanization today doesn't always arrive through obvious violence. It arrives through convenience, dependency, distraction, and passivity that slowly weakens human agency. This is why the Pope's warning about de-skilling is so prophetic. We are entering a world where people are outsourcing thinking itself, writing, memory, problem solving, and discernment. While technology can assist us, allowing it to replace human agency turns us into passive consumers of systems we no longer control. Progress is not automatically the same as human flourishing. A society can become more technologically advanced while simultaneously becoming spiritually exhausted, isolated, and anxious. Remaining human, contemplative, prayerful, and rooted in truth today requires immense courage, especially when algorithms are actively shaping what we see, think, fear, and believe. Beneath all of this is a battle for the soul. Will we live as persons created for communion, or reduce ourselves to optimized systems built for consumption? Babel or Jerusalem. Chapter 2. Before we close this first part of the series, I want to circle back to the two biblical images Pope Leo uses to frame this entire conversation: the Tower of Babel and the rebuilding of Jerusalem under Nehemiah. These two images unlock the spiritual heartbeat of the document. Babel represents a civilization attempting to ascend through human power detached from God, a society intoxicated with its own technical capabilities, optimization, and ambition. When you look at modern technological culture, it's hard not to see the parallel. It's the belief that every limit can be engineered away and that humanity can construct its own salvation. But the Pope warns that a civilization cannot survive when power outruns wisdom and efficiency outruns truth. The real question is not whether technology will continue to advance, but toward what vision of humanity will guide us. Every civilization is built around what it worships. Christianity teaches that we are creatures, not gods. There's something deeply dangerous about a culture that treats human limitations, silence, and mortality as defects, rather than realities that orient the soul toward God. Jerusalem represents the exact opposite of Babel, a civilization ordered toward truth, wisdom, responsibility, and right relationship with God. This kind of society requires shared responsibility, moral clarity, and discernment. Technological advancement is not proof of moral advancement. History shows a society can advance technically while becoming spiritually disoriented and fragmented. The deeper issue is whether humanity still possesses the moral and spiritual formation necessary to govern its powerful systems wisely. Pope Leo closes this reflection by invoking Nehemiah. Like Nehemiah, let us pray, plan wisely, and work perseveringly, placing God at the forefront of our actions and the human person at the center of our choices. Chapter 2, paragraph 34. This isn't fear, it's spiritual maturity and responsibility. It's the church calling humanity to remain grounded in the middle of one of the greatest civilizational shifts in history. Wrapping up part 1. So this is a perfect place to pause. Now, by now, you realize that Pope Leo XIV is doing something much bigger than just giving an opinion on artificial intelligence. He is rebuilding the structural foundation first. Before stepping into technical analysis, he forces us to remember what the human person is, what society is for, and what dignity and communion actually mean. The modern world wants to rush immediately into the logistics. What can AI do? What jobs will disappear? And what systems will change? But the Pope stops us and says, wait, before we have that conversation, we need to remember the principles that are supposed to guide human society in the first place. This is why he roots this entire text in the living tradition of Catholic social teaching, stretching from Rerum Novarum to Laudato Si and Fratelli Tutti. This is not a panicked reaction to technology. Oh no. It is the continuation of a long tradition of the church safeguarding human dignity, the family, workers, and truth within the digital revolution. Now that this anthropological foundation has been firmly established in the introduction, chapter 1 and chapter 2, we can finally move into the specific structural analysis of the digital age. In part 2 of this series, we're going to be stepping directly into chapter 3 to confront the spirit of technocracy, information overload, and how modern digital structures alter our perception of reality. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the rest of this deep dive, and leave a comment below with your thoughts on these opening chapters. And you know what? I'll see you in the next one over in part 2, which you can catch right over here. I'll see you over there.